What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Jump to Start Racing podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Ruben, say hello.
What's going on, guys?
Yancy? Pew, pew. Pew.
Breaking news, guys.
What's up?
Nicholas Latifi had just signed to the Red Bull Junior
Oh,
team.
my God. On today's episode,
Wait, before all of that, happy birthday. Wellington.
Wow. Belated.
My English is not very good looking. Happy belated, Wellington.
On today's episode, we will be
you're
discussing
Yeah, of course.
many important things here. World Drivers' Championship decided, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix recap, and everything that was surrounding it. In particular, the most important thing.
That it was your birthday?
No. Sebastian Vettel winning the Crypto.com Overtake Award.
Yo, you saw the price that you get?
What did he get? No, I didn't see it.
A million jelly beans. That's what
Jelly beans or jelly bean coins?
I don't know if it was
I don't know.
There's jelly bean coins?
From Crypto.com. Maybe.
That money's delicious.
Guys, before jumping in there, I want to make sure to note all of our socials. Guys, we are on many podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. At Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and Instagram. We are also Jump to Start Racing podcast on YouTube. Hi, you could see us enjoy ourselves here.
The thumbs up like this?
Thumbs up. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Smash the like button, as they say. Subscribe if you've seen more than one video. Or drop a review
if you see this
just subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. Leave a comment. Drop a review on your podcast platform of choice. Did I miss anything there?
Don't think so.
No.
Okay. Ruben, how was your weekend, my brother?
Weekend was great until, I don't know, mid-morning Sunday.
Oh, we know how you feel. Yeah, see, how was yours?
Yeah, it was started off great. Highly anticipated weekend.
Jeez.
And
What was anticipated about it?
we were gonna have a it was your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Sunday
No.
night made up for it, yeah, when we got together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Mondo gas.
but right before that, I was a little bit. I didn't think I would. This is when I know I'm a true fan of something. When I got really emotional about the outcome of the race. But yeah, we'll talk about it.
My eyes are not swelling anymore from crying. Okay.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay.
I wasn't crying.
I almost cried. The guys in front of us at the bar almost cried.
Yep.
So with that, my dear sweet friends, let's jump into it. Ruben, hit the drop.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
Guys, I have one question, and I need you guys to pay attention. 30 years ago, Niki Lauda said, if you put a monkey in the cockpit, he'll be able to drive the car. 30 years later, Sebastian Vettel said, to start his car, it's like a computer. It's very, very complicated. Nico Rosberg said he pressed the wrong button during a race. I don't remember which race it was. He pressed the wrong button on a wheel. So my question to you two both. Formula One driving today with 20 buttons. Is it too complicated with 20 buttons and more on the steering wheel? Are drivers under too much effort, too much stress? What do you guys wish for the future of your technical programs during the race? Do you want less buttons or more? Do you want less or more communications with your engineers? What do you think?
Give him a round of applause. Now,
You're supposed to say, can you repeat the question? Because that's what Vettel says.
hold on. No, because the thing is that,
I'm just still like,
no, it was good. No, but give him the wah wah wah.
I know why you're going to say that. Because I didn't do the accent.
Exactly. Exactly.
The river is
that's
right
why.
there.
That's why I couldn't play along.
The river's right
I
there.
wonder, is he really saying it?
Yeah,
Was
no,
something
he
missing here?
is.
No,
That
but
was the
I
He
exact
said it
quote.
with such prose.
But there was something missing
I
here.
felt like I was watching a Shakespearean play.
But there was something missing. There was something missing.
That's
It was the
why.
accent.
That's why. That's why. I didn't say.
Thank you, Will.
I spent.
Can you repeat the question?
Who are you talking to? Who are you asking the question?
Yo, power
Anyway.
for that, man.
Yeah. Finally.
That's awesome. But so the next challenge is say it with the accent.
Oh my God. Okay, 30 years ago. No.
30 years ago.
All right, so moving on from that, a little bit of fun. It was the challenge for the whole year that gives me 10 trivia points, and I automatically win.
You know what? Yeah, he does.
He's just
I
like a
can't go
matter
back
of
on my
Grow the
word.
Grid.
Listen, I can't be the FIA and change the rules all of a
That's
sudden.
it. That was the rule.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
my
the
God.
rule.
Okay. All right, so let's jump into it. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We have a new champion. A brand new Formula One champion, Max Verstappen.
Wah, wah, wah. Oh, sorry. Congratulations to him.
You have both.
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't have to do it.
That's how everybody feels, by
I
the way.
think we're going to change that drop to yours.
Yeah.
Wah,
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 wah.
wah.
So we have a new champion. Max Verstappen. Look, regardless of what happened this season or this race, this last race, granted, we're going to be talking about it.
Mhm.
What a dominating performance across the whole season. Never finished lower than second, unless he was affected by the puncture in Baku or whatever you want to call that, and the damage at Silverstone by the accident that he had there, and then Monza, obviously the double DNF with him and Lewis Hamilton. Aside from that, the dude never really put a foot wrong. He
18 races he finished either first or second. 18 races.
yeah, it's a new record, right? The most podiums in a season.
10 wins, 8 second places.
Just-
I mean, dominating season.
Dominating season, right? Complete another domination. The car itself was. You'll never. Actually, I feel like I'll never know just how good that car was because he was so good in it. His teammate was never even. I mean, I guess you could say with the same with Hamilton. His teammate was never able to really demonstrate how good that car was, the way that Max Verstappen was. But all that said, even though it was a funky finish, which we will get into, congratulations, Max Verstappen. Potentially the first of many, depending on how things shake out next season with the new regs. And ushering in, I feel this is ushering in the new generation of F1 drivers with him, George Russell, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, all those guys. This is, I guess, the first step into what I'll call the takeover.
Yeah, you can say that. You can accurately say that. Regardless of what you think how that race finished, either one, whoever won that race, deserved to be the champion. You can say the same thing for Lewis. But Max is the champion. He's crowned the champion. He deserves to be the champion. And it's what many people were saying since he came in F1. And he's proved them right. And to have the season that he's had, because obviously the champion is not crowned in the last race. The champion is who has the most points after 23 races.
22 we had.
22 we had this year. And Max Verstappen performed, and we said this before, I feel, he performed better than Lewis if you look at the season as a whole. The fact that Lewis was right there shows how good Lewis Hamilton is. And the fact that Max Verstappen needed to have a season like this to beat Lewis Hamilton and barely beat Lewis Hamilton shows how good Lewis Hamilton is and shows why Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time world champion. But kudos to Max, man. He's the first of the new generation of drivers to come into F1. He has proven himself worthy of being championship caliber, and now he is a champion. Round of applause to him, man. He did a great job this season. Regardless of how I may feel about him.
I mean, this year, his logo is a lion, so this year he was a lion.
Yeah.
He was. Did he make mistakes this year? I think both drivers made mistakes, but the way he performed as the season as a whole, come on, you can't ask for a better season than that from a driver. He was one with the car. And there's, it's a lot of things that you could try to say, but they're not going to justify even how to the level that he took, I guess, the team and the level that he put Mercedes on, and actually Mercedes put him on. So it was like a back and forth thing, and the way they started, Red Bull and them, they lost a little momentum, and that's when Mercedes crept up, started creeping in. But congratulations to him, well deserved. He earned it. It wasn't given to him. He earned it.
And he came through clutch because he got the overtake done in that last lap, regardless of how they got into that situation. He got it done. We've seen many drivers in that same situation before, just a podium position or even to get the race win, and they're not able to deliver. Right. He was able to do it, and it's what champions are made of. So
he's a champion now.
Well deserved.
Congratulations, Max. You are a world champion.
I mean, you're right, Ruben, in the sense that Max's performance made Mercedes and Hamilton have to respond. It's almost like an iron sharpens iron, and it's something that we didn't see from Mercedes last year. We didn't really get to see it in 2019 because we had Ferrari got knocked off the pedestal with the engine regulation, the engine issue in 18. They kind of shot themselves in the foot. So we had not really seen this level of competition get so tight. But in reality, though, it sucks the way that it ended, because all it does is it tarnishes what was a tremendous season from this guy. We were talking in maybe not Jeddah, but Brazil and the lead up into Brazil, going that far into the season, where we're talking about Max looks unflappable, looks like the pressure's not even getting to him, looks like he's just out there just racing, just minding his own business and doing work, and it's that's the way to become a champion under immense pressure.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about Max?
Congratulations.
We want to talk about Lewis next.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, there's nothing else to say. I mean, it was just a phenomenal showing by both of them. But go ahead, Lewis.
So I want to set the table here, and obviously, out of the three of us, right, I was pulling more for Max. I have actually been a Max fan before it came to this season, before it even came to last season. I had always just been a fan of the guy, so it's a little bittersweet the way the season ended. But I want to point out about Lewis Hamilton a couple of things, right? And Mercedes. The FIA changed the rules coming into the season essentially to favor the Red Bull car and the Red Bull style car.
Well, the high rake.
The high rake versus the low rake concept.
Tinfoil hat?
No,
that did happen.
Not for me. You don't know what I mean.
That did happen.
That did happen.
Yeah, no, at the last minute too.
Right.
Which is the reason, again, not only Mercedes was at a disadvantage, the only other car on the grid that had that low rake system was Aston Martin, and they were greatly affected. You can see where they finished in the stands.
So there's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole season, some can say that there was a lot of calls that went against Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. Some could say that there was a lot of decisions on track from the stewards and Michael Massi himself that went a lot against Mercedes. We saw, obviously, not the penultimate, but everything kind of built up to what happened on Sunday that kind of just screwed up Mercedes' flow and Hamilton potentially winning another championship. So we can say that in effect, or in essence, I think that fairly we can say they were kind of screwed out of another championship for the driver, right?
From the beginning.
Not from the beginning, but just taking into account what happened Sunday, kind of screwed out of a race, out of the championship.
Well, I don't want to say the championship. They were screwed out of a race win, which had the implications
of being the champion,
of winning the championship. Okay. The championship can be won or lost throughout the entire season.
Absolutely,
every race.
Absolutely.
And, and on the other side, you can have a lot of luck. A lot of bad luck. Baku being one where Max was winning the race, by far, and had a tire blowout. Him getting hit by Hamilton and them contacting, but he was the one that flew into the barriers and Hamilton won the race. There's a lot of incidents where Red Bull can be feel aggrieved. Feel is the key word. And a lot of incidences where Mercedes can feel aggrieved. But overall, I don't feel that one part of the FIA or the governing body was pulling for one team or the other. But to your point, yes, you can say that as far as the race is concerned, yeah, Mercedes.
So can we say that things towards the end of the season, they have a bit more gravity towards the championship?
Sure.
Right? So Lewis, a 7-time world champion,
Mhm.
could have been 8, right?
Yes.
2007, mechanical failures, misses the pit lane, drives into the gravel trap
China.
in Malaysia. Malaysia or China?
I think it was China.
China. Right? That
That
right
was
there
his
would have
rookie
made
season?
His
would
rookie
have
season,
made
yeah.
him
8-time world champion.
that would have made him 9-time if you count.
Yeah, if
Yes,
you
sir.
count yesterday.
The Nico Rosberg season, he had so many mechanical issues with his car. Would have been a 10-time champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at these things that have to conspire. Freaking Max had to first or second in every race that he finished. Then we have the tinfoil hat, like Ruben's conspiracy theories come along. Look at everything that had to happen so that Hamilton does not win the. Let's face it.
Another one.
The guy ran away at the start of the race, never to be caught again, unless what happened during the race. And rightfully, he should have had the race win, I think, and he should have had the championship. But this is the level that you have to raise your game at even when Red Bull had the better car throughout most of the season.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? How the kudos to Lewis Hamilton, kudos for not crying on the podium, like pitching a fit like we
Yeah,
expected him,
he
or
handled
like how
himself.
Christian Horner and Max would have.
Yeah, they would have, and they did in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
I mean, no, in Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia. So kudos to him, and kudos to Mercedes for being just champions. And I walk away from this past weekend's race saying that Lewis Hamilton is the best driver in the world, the galaxy, and the universe. Because if that's what it takes to beat him,
Yeah. I mean, and my conclusion after that race was, yes, Max Verstappen is a champion. And obviously Lewis has been in F1 forever, and there have been other champions. But when you start comparing drivers, each driver, Sebastian Vettel, or Fernando Alonso, or Lewis Hamilton, you start comparing these drivers, and now we have Max Verstappen, who's another world champion. To say that Max Verstappen is better than Lewis Hamilton just because he won this championship, I'm not gonna go that far.
No, it's impossible.
Because at the end of the day, what Max Verstappen almost did and Red Bull was lose that championship in a car that was considered to be better than the Mercedes. Okay? The last 4 races were dominated by Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, including Abu Dhabi. They just didn't come out with the victory. Lewis Hamilton put that team on his back, and that team gave him a better car, which was inferior to the Red Bull throughout most of the season, and almost got the job done, including winning the Constructors' Championship.
Yep.
That's why Toto Wolff deserved to crowd surf
What?
after the race. He was crowd surfing after the
was?
race. Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's all over social media.
That's amazing that even though he lost, he's still able to celebrate like that. That's
Because
good
that's
for
a
them.
huge,
I thought it was old, but
what
I
is
mean-
it? No, that was recent. That was right after the race.
Good for them.
What is it now? 8 constructors?
Yes.
9.
9.
No, 8.
Eight.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, 8 constructors championships. That's insane.
7 from Lewis.
Yeah, and it's insane.
No.
Yeah, it is.
8 construction.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Right?
Mhm.
They started winning them in 14.
Lewis has
Six.
6
Six.
with Mercedes. He only they
Rosberg and this one.
Yeah, Rosberg
Gotcha.
and this one. So they've won the constructors
Mhm.
championship the last 8
Years.
years
In a row.
And this season they showed why they are champions.
Yeah.
Okay? Max almost lost it. Thank you, Nicholas Latifi, for the newest Red Bull junior driver.
Oh
I'm
my
joking, but I mean there was a lot more to that. But listen, they
It's hard for me to say Red Bull almost lost it, but we'll talk about that later on when we talk.
yeah.
about
But listen, me personally, everybody knows I am a huge Ferrari fan.
No.
And my
No,
favorite driver on the grid is Leclerc.
not science. Okay.
Hate it. But just watching Lewis carry himself throughout these past few seasons, especially this season, how he's driven, how when put against the wall, he responds and responds like a champion and gets the job done. The best driver in the world, to me, I mean, greatest of all time is a lot, but he's definitely in that conversation. The way I think his best performance of the whole weekend was in Brazil.
The whole year, you mean the whole season?
Like that one performance, and that's where it all started. This last run of races, that's where it all started in Brazil. Obviously, he has the five grade grid penalty
Say that
for
5
the
times
engine.
fast.
Then he starts from the back because they gave him
Disqualifying or something.
they disqualified him from qualifying over the wing issue. Fights back in the sprint race to get up to 5th place from last on the grid. Starts 10th and still wins that race. That's where this run started, and he almost won the championship, and that's where it started. He put that team on his back, and not many drivers can say that.
Ruben, what do you think of your favorite driver? Not George Russell.
No, I think there's not much you could say that Yancy you didn't say. It seems like that Mercedes all season up to the last 4 or 5 races, they were just struggling on everything, but they were still on top because they're a top tier team. So they were still fighting with the best driver. So when they got shine of light, which Hamilton did on Brazil, that's when everything really, they started to believe, hey, we could really win this, meaning as a whole team. And that's when the team got really packing together and it showed.
They galvanized the team.
And obviously, the only thing they could regret is the last lap. There's nothing else they could regret.
I mean,
Good restaurant.
A good
but it's
restaurant.
like it's like I said earlier. I mean, the championship is won throughout the season. It's not just a few races. And obviously, they started off on the back foot, and that's all their fault. They just
Their fault, why?
because obviously they got hampered by the regulations. They didn't know how much of an effect it was.
Right.
Obviously, if you can't perform, if you can't put a car out there, it is your fault. You know, especially if you're the champion.
Also, they said our resources are primarily going to the 2022 car.
There you go. So I mean, but that's also what you have to juggle, and all the teams are juggling that same thing. So they got their stuff together. It was just a little bit too late.
So, race weekend itself,
But they still won the constructors.
they did. They killed it. To be
Yeah,
honest.
man.
So, qualifying wise, there's only kind of one thing to mention there. Max Verstappen on his second in Q2, his fastest lap at the time. He tried to set it on. He set it on mediums that he actually got flat spotted. So he ended up having to switch to softs. What ended up happening from there was Perez and Max went on softs versus Hamilton and I think Bottas went on mediums as well. Actually, I can
Yeah,
tell
they were
right
medium.
now. It turned out not to really matter because, well, one, Bottas just did not
Bottas was
perform.
on mediums. Hamilton was on mediums.
Yep.
Mhm.
Verstappen and Hamilton pitted 1 lap apart anyway, so that like kind of negated the whole thing. And everybody knows how Perez is on the tires. So just qualifying, just in general, what the result of it was: Max was on pole, Lewis Hamilton second, Lando Norris third, Sergio Perez fourth, Carlos Sainz fifth, and then Valtteri Bottas all the way down in sixth.
Yeah.
That sucks. That hurts
He
a
didn't
lot.
come through this race at all.
That hurts quite a bit. So that was the grid position for the championship deciding race. Max on pole, Hamilton in second. At the start of the race, though, we see Hamilton get like the best start of probably the best start of his life.
Championship things.
Yeah, it was
Even though
a
on
similar
mediums.
race start, just like in Jeddah. It was just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Poof, just bolted off the line. Like, I got this.
On the
Yeah.
slower tire.
on the mediums versus the soft. So that's why like it's worth mentioning because tire life and then like Max was supposed to get a better start on the softs and then disappear, but that didn't happen. Hamilton gets the good start, is ahead of Max. They go through, what is it, the opening chicane, but what was it, the turn? I forget what.
Turn 1 and 2.
It was going into 2.
So going into turn 2. You sure?
Yeah, it was turn 1.
Going into turn 1, yeah. Max dive bombs, as he's known to do. Lewis pushes him off the track. Hamilton ends up having to cut the chicane, run off-road, as we'll call it, and rejoin the track further on down the line. Does not end up giving the place back because he did not gain a lasting advantage. That is the discussion going on the broadcast. What did you guys think of that whole situation?
I mean, Max did the same thing in Brazil. No investigation.
He went off track? I thought they both went off track in Brazil.
Well, he pushed him out. He does this thing where Max tends to go. I mean, obviously Lewis was ahead of him, but Max tends to take the entire width of the track after he hits the apex and pushes out Lewis Hamilton. He's done it various times this season. Now, you're supposed to leave room for the other car on the track. Max never does. So, and obviously Lewis wanted to avoid the collision because obviously, and Max knows that if he hits him on countback, meaning that if they both don't finish the race, Max wins the championship because he has more victories. And he's been driving like that the past few races. He can take that risk of getting hit by Lewis.
Or hitting him.
And it's what he always does. I mean, he's done it various times throughout the season. So Lewis, in order to avoid the collision, I understand that because obviously it doesn't benefit Lewis if he gets hit. He's either going to get a damaged car.
And he always avoids the collision too, a lot of times.
Well,
for the most part.
For the most part, but against Max, he definitely avoids the collision because Max is super aggressive. So, as far as no investigation necessary, if I say that there was at least an investigation necessary in Brazil, there at least has to be an investigation here in Abu Dhabi. Now, I think at the end of the day, it's tough because you don't want to get involved in a championship fight and then be a penalty that decides it. But the rules are the rules. Oh, so we think. Right? And they got to be followed. And that's the issue. There's no consistency.
I just think that the track layout is so different, Brazil versus Abu Dhabi, where in Brazil, he was out, and then the next turn is so far down the road, like, there's no room, there's no potential for you to cut the next corner and then, rejoin the track with an advantage. Here,
well, I think that
it's a left.
Hamilton definitely had the corner though. He was ahead.
Yes.
I agree.
He was definitely ahead of him by I think further than it was.
I just think comparing it to Brazil is a little.
Well, I'm not comparing the same. It's not the same incident, but what I'm saying is that I'm comparing how the stewards handled it. You get what I'm saying? Because again, there was this happened. This was supposedly going to be the talking point of the entire race if it had played out the way it was supposed to play out. And then this would have been the controversy instead of what happened on the last lap. But all of this started with the standard in Brazil where no investigation was necessary, even though there was a clear penalty. And it doesn't matter who the penalty was; it was a clear penalty on whatever driver you think it may be. I'm just saying that these are the things. This is the precedent that was set at that race. And there's been a few times where it's been tested, and there's just been no consistency how it's been called.
I think you're going too far, to be honest. I think that beyond Brazil, whatever, this is a typical lap 1 incident where we've seen how many drivers cut corners in how many races just to try and avoid damage. I think Hamilton, in order to avoid damage from a dive bombing Max, cut the corner.
Right.
Did not gain a lasting advantage, supposedly gave it back. Whatever, that's what we were told, so that's what we have to believe. And it's just a lap 1 incident where he had to do what he had to do to avoid damage.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there should have been a penalty there at all.
I agree.
I think also what ended up happening.
Unless it's a collision, then it would probably be causing a collision.
This is moto racing, Yancey.
I think what ended up going that way is because Hamilton was already ahead before the turn, so that played into helping him, stay in the front and just okay, so you were ahead, but you gained time by cutting the second corner because you had to go to the runoff or whatever is there. I just slowed down so they could catch up with you again. Let's go back to racing because you were already ahead, and obviously he dive bombed. But remember, I think it was in the Sky Sports commenters that said this. Daniel Ricciardo made a career of doing that, of diving, but not as aggressive as Max. But not as aggressive as Max. He does it more clean.
Yeah, and I feel like in that type of situation, Danny picks his spots. He
doesn't run anybody off the road.
No, that's what I'm saying. He does it more clean.
He's unable. He would have been unable to make the turn unless he collided and got course corrected back onto the track. It's like a typical. If you're playing the game online, that's just how it is. Like people just crash into you to make the turn, and that's not the way it should be.
And also what you have to realize too is that the way when Max took that apex, after you take that apex, if you have a car on the outside that's ahead of you, or even if it's behind you, you're supposed to leave room for that car and not run them off the road. Max's front wheel was right on that white line.
Right. I don't know.
He left no room.
No, he didn't.
He was in a situation.
And in the rules, it clearly says you have to leave room. So then, what are we doing here?
He wanted to be like
He was on a racing line that wasn't the racing line, and what you would not have been able to even make that turn. So that's why he lost so much time then slowing down and trying to position himself to get around the chicane. I'm surprised he didn't lose more places, to be honest.
He had to reset himself.
Yeah. All right. So there was that situation. From there, Lewis Hamilton goes off into the distance. Lap 13, Max Verstappen pits. Lap 14, Lewis Hamilton pits. So who's in first place? None other than Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen's teammate.
Built-in traction control.
On softs.
On softs, unused softs from the qualifying. Lap 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, all the way to 21, he's leading the race. Come lap 20, 21, that's when we see the battle with Lewis Hamilton, in which...
The slowdown battle.
Can we say he defended like a lion there? We can say that, right?
Of course. He's not Ocon.
So over the course of that...
Poor Ocon. What is he doing to you, man?
No, but he couldn't defend like a lion. Tell Ocon to defend like a lion.
Over the course of that period, we saw... Hold on. There was a... I'm just trying to see for sure. Max was down...
I think at 13?
Yeah, at times over 14 seconds.
It was around 13, 14 seconds.
Right. And within that battle, that amazing back and forth, at the end of it, all you see is Max Verstappen kind of chasing these guys down the main straight, right back into the fight, even though he was down and out for the it was crazy how far Lewis Hamilton had gotten upfield from him. So Sergio Perez, just bravo, what an amazing fight, and this is what teammates are there for.
If you need them. Yeah, he slowed down the pace, obviously, of the race. Not only he fought him for I don't know how many corners. I think it was the highlight of the race for me because that's the kind of wheel-to-wheel battle that we want to see. See a car overtaking, come right back, overtake him again. I think he did it 2 or 3 times. But what he was doing there, it was obviously slowing Lewis down as far as pace-wise, but it was also making him use his tires. Which obviously is gonna lend an advantage to Max Verstappen because he's not wasting his time fighting anybody.
Time, energy.
Yeah,
battery.
I mean it was phenomenal to see. It was fun to see. It's the kind of wheel-to-wheel racing that we yearn to see more in F1. And it was clean. I don't think you would have said the same thing if it was Hamilton and Verstappen fighting. If Hamilton and Verstappen were fighting, there probably would have been a collision. But we want to see something like that. Clean, hard racing. And showed Checo's experience.
Yes.
He is very good in many aspects.
It's a legend.
And, I mean, he's obviously not quick as Verstappen, but I think he'll be better in that car
Next year.
next season, and you might see him in the contention for the
More and more.
championship if they get the rules right. Obviously, there's a lot of different things going on next year, but bravo to Checo because he has had a very good last 2 seasons. I think the best 2 seasons of his career, and I think ever since he got his foot, and he got his footing with that car, he's been driving phenomenal.
It was 2 things for me. Like, could you just imagine as Verstappen is catching up, his view. He sees just two cars in front of him, just like it was like
Crazy.
like you see, like for example, when you see in what's that Tom Cruise movie with the planes?
Top Gun.
In Top Gun, they see the planes like, and that was.
How you not gonna know that?
I don't remember the name, dude.
That's Frank Williams' favorite movie.
Yeah.
You're not gonna know. That's your team, bro.
Wow.
So imagine Verstappen is coming up, and he just sees 2 guys back and forth, and they were, regardless of Lewis Hamilton's, that's dangerous driving. Regardless of his comment, to me it was done. It was with finesse.
No, it was done.
No, because Lewis complained about, that's dangerous driving, whatever. And it was done with finesse. And to top everything off, it was the final overtake by Lewis on Checo was right out of the time when Verstappen was winning DRS. So he also gave Verstappen the DRS just to keep going. Like, here you go, I'll give you the final push.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I know, and also, I mean, and Checo was the ultimate team player. Of
course.
So you go back to qualifying. He gave Max Verstappen the toe, and I got him a really good lap, and I actually put Max on pole. He didn't capitalize on it, but he got him pole, which he needed. So overall, this weekend Checo drove phenomenal.
He did 2 toes.
Yes.
Yeah, he did twice.
Whereas Hamilton came out with no toe from Valtteri Bottas. So I think that to me it was just the veteran moves. It was like he would position himself on the inside just to be able to hit the chicane. So it was like impressive stuff. Like going on to the start-finish straight. Like Ruben and I both noticed that the way he positioned his car is that he started on the inside. He angled himself out so that he would come across the track without having to go back and forth, causing Lewis Hamilton to have problems because you're not going to be lined up in that way to get the proper aerodynamic toe. Mm-hmm. It was just he was playing 4D chess that whole time, and it was impressive to see on a car that had 20-lap-old soft tires.
Soft.
It's almost like the couple of laps before, he was like, yo, I'm charging my battery, I'm getting myself ready, and just kind of just let it rip. You do not ever see that type of racing from Verstappen. We saw something like it in 2018 or 2019 in Austria against Leclerc. Mm-hmm. But even then, he was pushing Leclerc off track.
Yes. He finally did push Leclerc off track on that race. I mean, he was on the better tires in that race, and he obviously won, but it was a very similar battle, but the defining move was him pushing Leclerc off track. The only other time I've seen racing like that, me personally, I've seen racing like that would be Hamilton versus Alonso in Mexico when Alonso was with McLaren.
What was that, 19 or 20?
That was 19.
And then in Turkey, in Hungary again this year.
Yeah. I mean, and you've seen 2 veterans there fighting each other. The best battle that I've seen, but obviously I didn't see it live, was Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna in Monaco, and I forget the year it was, but obviously
in Monaco.
Yeah, in Monaco, Mansell was chasing down Senna for the lead, and he just couldn't get past him. Obviously, it's Monaco, but that was a phenomenal battle. If you guys look that up on YouTube, that was great racing as well. And there's no DRS in that one. That's just straight racing.
So could we say that
Mansell was in the Williams, and Ayrton Senna obviously was driving for McLaren.
We also remember that Checo early in the year, he had a practice turn and blocking when he had Lewis behind him for a bunch of laps on Baku.
That's right. That's right. And he ended up winning that race.
Yes.
So there was that. That was through lap 21 and
On softs.
on soft. So bravo to Checo and to Red Bull. I believe they even had a power unit issue that they were just like, yo, you're just staying out.
Towards the end.
Like you're blowing up that car, like whatever it takes.
Yeah, I think that's why they wound up retiring him.
Yeah, and I think he even said in the post race, like, dude, I did what I could for the team. This is a team race, team battle, like
Yeah,
whatever.
he said that he didn't. He obviously, you usually don't want to get involved in a championship battle, but, and he, he said this, I'm paraphrasing. He said Lewis would understand. I did it for my team, and obviously, Lewis will want Bottas to do the same thing. So it wasn't.
Lewis was doing it. In 2016, he was backing up the whole pack.
Yeah, well,
So
that was
for Rosberg.
Yeah, that was so he could win. But
that was so he could win. I don't think that was.
Yes.
I don't think that was for the team necessarily.
Sector 3
Everybody came on the radio.
impossible to stop.
But no, but I mean, it was Checo did it. Obviously, that's what teamwork is all about. Giving him the toe, fighting. Max said it perfectly. Yeah, Checo's a legend. He said it during the radio.
He was a legend,
Yeah,
dude.
so-
What a drive. Going back a couple of years, I was always like, man, this Checo guy, he's such a jerk because of the way that it came across on TV of him and Ocon. Right?
Yes.
It was always like he was kind of pushing him around. But man,
Mhm.
like, what a teammate he has been to Max. So that was lap 21. Max was able to get up to 1.7 seconds of closing the gap. From there, Lewis Hamilton took off again. The gap continued to widen. How far did it get before? So it got to a point where it was up to 5.5 seconds before the next safety car. And it was a virtual safety car with Giovinazzi going off track.
Mhm.
Verstappen pits, goes in. He puts on another set of hards on lap 36. Hamilton stays out. Do you guys have anything to say here about this? Because I want to say something right here.
Go ahead.
Verstappen's only able to take that 14-second, that shorter pit, because Bottas is completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
If Bottas would have been
If
a
he was
Checo
there-
in this moment,
If he was there to be able to get track position back from Verstappen because he pitted,
meaning at the Checo moment, the Checo effect, the
Correct.
same thing. When
whole
Lewis
different
went in,
race.
Checo was up front.
This would have been over, right? Like it would have just been academic. Even though the overtake difficulty on Bottas is like half of one of those little green things on the AWS.
Yeah, but we've seen it time and again. When you have two cars close to each other on track, you can dictate the strategy. 2 against 1.
Yes.
Mercedes has taken advantage of that various times this season. Red Bull has, especially has done that this season. I think Spain and what was the other race? Well, Spain comes to mind where I think Mercedes pitted Hamilton for a second set of softer tires, and he was able to overtake.
And he was behind. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was behind, but they could only do that because Bottas was up there. What was that?
And Checo was not.
It might have been
I forget what the
France.
other race is. Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
might have been
yes.
yeah, in France, where and I think and you saw Red Bull do that. I think the previous year in Spain also. But again, when you have two cars up there, racing next to each other or close to each other, you're able to dictate the strategy because, that one car has to cover the other's pit
Mhm.
stop. So, if Bottas was up there, it would have been a different story.
Just
Because at this
So
point,
many outs
At
you
this
could
point,
think of.
what's happening is, at that point, what's happening was that Verstappen, Hamilton, and Perez were just flying out ahead of everybody else. So the pit wouldn't. They don't have to worry about any other cars behind them pitting.
Yep.
So they can dictate the strategy there as far as with that group of 3.
So that was lap 36, 58 lap race. Brundle or Crofty came on the broadcast and said, Max Verstappen needs to be faster on these new tires, these new hards, than Hamilton by 0.8 seconds per lap to catch him on new tires.
How many races? How many laps left? It was
12.
22.
22. Yeah, because you put it on 36. Yeah.
Dude, not even close.
No, I mean
Hamilton was just out. Like Max was not catching him.
and it was what I was telling
It
you.
was academic.
And what I was telling you guys when we were watching the race at the bar. Hamilton, we applaud Checo Perez for his tire management. We says that he has built-in traction control. But Lewis is just as good or even better than him, if not better than Checo, as far as saving tires.
Well, Lewis resuscitates the tires.
Yeah.
Because Lewis complains, my tires are gone, man. And that's when he starts saying as fast as
And that's what that's the
he's
whole
like,
thing.
okay,
It's just-
tires, let's go.
It's
Wake
got to
up.
be code. At this point, we know it's
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
be code. Like, on my tires,
It's like
meaning they're good.
he takes those tires and he just squeezes them like an orange and squeezes every little bit of juice out of it and goes faster than everybody else.
Lemon juice.
Yeah, I mean, so Lewis knows how to work the tires very well. So when I saw what was happening, I said, okay, he has it, because Max could not. Max, though he was catching up to him, he said it was 8/10.
No, that's what he needs.
He needed. He was only doing 2/10, 3/10
At best. So he
at
went.
best. And I know, and us knowing Lewis Hamilton and watching him so many years, knowing Hamilton, obviously he's still going quick, but he still has more in the bag.
Of course.
Crazy. So he actually went from lap 37, he was down 20 seconds, 20.2. By lap 51, right before the yellow flag started coming out for the next incident, he was down to 11.1. So it took him 14 laps to get 9 seconds back. He was toast. There's no way that with the remaining 7 seconds, 7 laps, he was gonna catch him.
That was Lewis Hamilton had it in the back.
Yeah.
Championship
Up
thing.
to that point.
Coming through in the clutch.
So
Just dominated that race.
Like he always does. If he's in the front, he just goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this time he wasn't in the front. He actually got the overtake done in the first lap. He got ahead of Max and just dominated the race.
he took it.
He said, "This is my championship."
Lap
Biatch.
Lap 52, 53. Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher. I keep almost saying Michael. Nicholas Latifi and Mick Schumacher racing each other. Latifi loses control, slams into the wall at a very precarious position. Safety car comes out.
Yeah, Latifi, he was obviously battling Michael Schumacher.
Mick.
Mick. You see, you messed me up, bro.
It's always my fault, right?
Yes. Mick Schumacher, he forced Nicholas Latifi. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Nicholas Latifi offline into the
I
marbles.
could tell you, but it would take me too long.
Into the marbles, into the dirty part of the track. So he lost grip, obviously went into the wall, and he got his Red Bull contract, and the rest is history.
So the safety car came out.
I'm still wondering, since we did not see nothing but the front in the race, what the hell were these two guys doing?
They were battling.
No,
each
they were
other
bad.
for
Okay,
position.
fine, but Williams probably saying, "Hey, now you cost us this much money at the last race, at the last,
Yeah.
last 5 turns."
What are
And
you
they make it like they tell him, "Mick, don't crash, because we don't have any money to fix this car now."
That's because Mazepin wasn't there to help him.
Yeah,
There
I
you
forgot
go.
to mention Mazepin
Mazepin was out with
COVID. He was not able to even race.
Hope he gets better,
It
man.
was 19 cars at the start of the grid. So lap 53, safety car is out. It's a 58 lap race. Max immediately dives into the pits, puts on softs, brand new softs. Were they brand new? Well, whatever.
were brand new,
They
yeah.
put on softs.
Brand new sauce, yeah.
Yes, brand new. He because of the gap, once again, like we talked about, because of the gap that he had, he's able to just dive into the pits, do what he's got to do, and he can
Don't
come
lose
out,
position.
not lose position. It's a full safety car because of where that accident took place, the damage that happened to that car. I'm going to state the facts, right? There's lapped cars. Because of the pit stop, there's lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen, first and second place. Hamilton is on the tires that he pitted on, the hard tires that he acquired on lap 14. They were also used tires, might I add.
1 lap use.
Yeah.
But they were used.
They were used.
They were burnt.
They were
But
scrubbed.
it was one lap on
They
top
call
of the
scrub tie, yeah.
on top of the 39 laps that he had done
Gotcha.
that same race, right? So there were lap cars there were cars that were down a lap between them. Originally, Michael Massi says that they're not going to unlap the cars. Quickly changes his mind, decides to unlap the cars, but only the cars between Hamilton and Verstappen. Prior to the race, the teams had agreed. You know what? Let me save that for later. Let me put that one in my pocket for later. Put that in our pocket for later. The way the things shook out, lap 54, 55, 56, and 57 were all under the safety car, anticipating a green last lap for all the marbles for the World Drivers' Championship. What do you guys think of that? We're gonna get into the FIA and Michael Massi later, but what do you guys think of that incident right there?
Calls were made on the Mercedes pit wall based on what the procedures were coming out of a safety car. Now, what are the procedures usually?
Since this rule was put in place, what do they do normally?
Procedures usually are the safety car comes out, everybody follows the safety car. At some point, while obviously a safety car usually comes out when there's an accident on track and they have to clear
Hazard.
a hazard. Well, they have to clear the car and they have to clear the debris that's on the car. So while they're clearing all of that, the safety car is out, slowing the cars down. No one can overtake, including the lap cars, can overtake because they don't want any cars going faster than what they should be going around the lap. At some point, when the debris is clear, they let all lapped cars go around once.
Or catch up to the pack.
Or catch up to the
Unlap
pack.
themselves.
Yeah, unlap themselves. So the order of the race can start again. Now, why does this happen? Usually, any gaps that are between the cars are obviously closed down because they're right behind each other.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, teams take advantage of this to overtake a car on track, right? That's why we like safety car restarts, for the most part. Even though there was some races where there were just too many safety cars. Abu Dhabi being one of them. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia being Okay. So, this all takes a matter of, depending on how much debris, takes 3, 4, 5 laps to complete. This didn't happen. The first red flag, and I'm not talking about actual red flag. First red flag was when Michael Massi said the cars are not going to unlap themselves.
That was the beginning of
the beginning of the confusion.
Yes, there you go.
And this is like 2 laps to go in the race. And then, for some odd reason, this has never been seen before, he only lets the cars in between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen to unlap themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of anybody else, because everybody else behind them is racing for position also.
And there's also lap cars down. So.
Yeah. So they're able to fight. Usually you're able to fight straight on.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. And everybody's confused. And Mercedes left Lewis Hamilton out there because they thought that it wouldn't be enough time to go racing without letting those lap cars go around. And then the safety car coming
without following the normal...
I disagree with that.
Yeah, and...
I disagree with that.
And, all right, you can disagree, but let me just finish.
Yes, sir.
And also, the rules state that once the cars have lapped around, 1 lap later, not the same lap, 1 lap later, the safety car comes in. That didn't happen either. So Mercedes, anticipating all of this going on,
is the reason why they didn't pit Lewis.
they didn't.
Negative.
What is it?
What is it? It was. We agree that it was a 14-second delta. The pit window, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was up 11 seconds on Max at the time.
So he would lose position.
He would have lost track position. You can't pit because
So it was
of that.
because of that. It was
Because
the double
Max
thing.
would have just stayed out and won the championship. If you assume that they're gonna get to the end and all that
If
stuff,
the normal procedures are followed,
correct. Max wins the championship.
Max
if
was
he
the
pit.
champion that way.
If he pits.
If Lewis pits, yeah.
If
yeah,
Lew-
but they didn't pit him. They didn't want to pit him at all.
No, they didn't pit him once because they
And
would
even
lose
if there,
position.
but
and
yeah, and even if there is a restart, Max wouldn't be able to catch up to Lewis because there's just not enough time in the lap. The race would have finished under under
safety.
under the safety car, which we've seen happen all the time. Happens all the time.
So yeah, pretty much just to, in my thing, is just to be a little more. I think the answer was super confusing right now. But by the way, no.
Okay.
But no, what I'm saying is that safety car comes out. Mercedes looks at all the scenarios. That's pretty much what you're explaining, all the scenarios.
Yeah.
And say, hey, if we pit, we're going to lose position.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And Verstappen's not going to pit. He's going to overtake us
Right.
and then win the race.
What do people always say?
So
do
we're not
the
gonna pit.
opposite of the car in front of
Yeah.
you. That's what everybody.
So pretty much, we're not going to pit because if all the procedures, the normal procedures been being followed for years or, whatever, because we don't know how far back it goes.
Mm-hmm.
If the normal procedure is done, this race is going to end on the safety car. Because same thing. All the cars have to unlap.
It's a guess, by the way. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, a safety car is supposed to last 7
No,
laps.
because then the little gimmick in the bottom is that the race director could over.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
But
no, but it says it that's the reason you look at all those scenarios, but nobody thinks it's going to go that way. So no, we're not going to pit because we don't have the window. That's pretty much what I said. We don't have. We don't.
the issue is not that
They didn't have the gap.
No. The issue is not that the race director or Michael Massi in this case said, okay, the safety car in this lap. He can tell he can say whatever. He has control of the safety car as far as when does it come in and when you start racing. The issue is that he didn't let the rest of the cars pass by.
No, that's where I was stuck on. When the race finished, like okay,
And then all the other teams are
super confused.
They're confused because they're racing on that assumption. Like, okay, they're gonna unlap the cars, and then we're gonna go racing.
Perfect example of that was that audio, that little video you shared earlier with us. Was Stroll is super confused. Can I overtake? Yeah, you go overtake.
No,
go race,
blue flag.
Yeah, like blue
now
flag.
you can race. Blue flag. Now you can race.
What do I do? And then when he finished, like, what the hell am I supposed to do here?
We'll explain later.
Yeah, we'll explain that. That's what he got. But again, there was no time for Lewis to pit. He would have lost position, and Verstappen would. If they see him come in, Verstappen would never come in. Even if Lewis afterwards overtakes him in the last lap, but nobody knew this was going to happen.
Right. Nobody knew the length of that safety
Yes.
car.
Or the decision was going to be made and say, hey, no, you're coming now. Because if you follow the proper procedure, same thing you said, all the unlap cars go the following lap, the safety car comes in. If all of that happened, we will finish the race under the safety car. But remember, at the beginning of the race, they said that they wanted to finish the race racing.
Right.
So
that's what they said. But before the race started, all the teams got together and they had this discussion. If there's a safety car, whatever, we want to finish the race, the last lap. We don't want to crown a champion under a safety car. That's, I think, the easiest way to put it.
That's the reason why I said to you guys before the podcast, and you guys told me, leave it the table for the podcast. So the best way to go would have been red flag the race.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
And then clear the track, whatever. Now everybody got fresh tires. Let's go racing.
I agree 100%.
And I am 100% sure Mercedes would have liked that. Oh, everybody, not even Mercedes, everybody.
But that's the thing. Now you have to look at the procedure of why you throw a red flag. Now, I don't know what.
But the excuse for the red flag was like, we want to finish racing. We need to clean this car up. We want to finish racing, just like we discussed at the beginning of the race.
Mm-hmm.
We want to finish racing. If we do all the proper procedures, we're going to finish on the safety car, and we don't want that.
And it gives Lewis a chance to change his tires.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So, you reset the whole race.
And that would have been a platform, like a level field for everybody. Even the guys in the back that were trying to get position, like you're saying.
Yeah. But again, I don't know if I don't know what the procedures are to call a referee. I don't know what the thing.
But since I'm the race director and I have power to overpower whatever the hell is written, hey guys, we're going to red flag the race, so we could just have
I think that they tied themselves in the foot by agreeing. See, none of this happens. None of this controversy happens if they don't have that discussion before the race, saying, "Oh, we have to."
I think it happens anyway because
Yeah.
you're in a position where
Because now he has the pressure on him to finish
On
that
racing.
race under a green flag, right? Regardless of what
This is where-
what the procedures are.
I think it's also. has
And
to do
now
with
you're giving him
experience.
leeway. Now you're giving him leeway to change, to do, and to make any changes, and nobody's gonna be happy.
I think it's just also has to do with experience. How long did Whiting do it for?
Yeah, but there was also
No, but
that's what
things always happen.
we
but
can always say the last guy was better. The
No,
guy
no,
in
no,
the
but
future
what I'm-
is
what
gonna
I'm
be
saying is this.
better. I mean, not that
Experience.
saying
look at the way Hamilton raced. We say because of experience, he also races that way. solid and stuff like that. So
yeah, but experience, yeah, exactly. But experience also dictates that you follow the rules the way those things have always been done, and he
But-
hasn't done it all season.
But since I have the control, because we spoke before the race that you want to finish under the green flag. The only way to finish under the green flag is to red flag the race. Red flag the race for you.
The issue is
That would have been the perfect scenario.
the issue
red flag the race.
is that what I saw, and we saw this because of the FIA team radio, is that now teams, I don't know if this went on before,
Yeah. We're just
but
getting a
even
glimpse
if
of it
it
now.
did go on before, it's wrong. Teams are lobbying the race director
It
to
sucks.
make certain decisions. It's like a political process.
you can't even think if you're the
Yeah.
race director.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't
you can't even think. You can't even not let alone think. Discuss with the other guys that are there
Yeah.
with you. Yo, guys, what do you think we should do about this?
And you have somebody calling you, and then don't do the Total Wolf. Don't red flag the race.
No, I didn't say that.
No, what
He said no safety car.
No safety car.
This
That
was
was under
during
the
Giovinazzi
virtual
one.
Under the virtual.
Under
yeah.
the virtual safety car. Like, dude, whose call is that? That's Michael Massey's race. Why are you even influencing him?
Mikey, no safety
And it's
car,
been
Mikey.
going on the entire season. And that is an issue. Because what happens is that the race director is there to ensure the safety of all the cars and to make sure that the races run the way it's supposed to run
The
under the
rules are being followed
rules,
and stuff like that.
under the rules that have been laid out for I don't know how many seasons.
And whenever they would put in or stuff like that.
Okay, and now what happens is that it feels like Michael Massey is not only being bullied by Toto Wolff but also Christian Horner. And they're on the horn.
Well, that's not the only radios that we hear.
Huh?
That's the only radios that we got.
Yeah,
targeted.
but
Who knows who else
but
is-
I'm
Who
pretty
knows
sure
what- how
what
many others?
my point is that that's probably the tip of the iceberg, and it's probably even worse than that.
Mikey,
and-
can you check your email? I don't check my emails on the race.
Well, even the fact that
That's
he
why
was
it's all-
the fact the way he was talking to him, Mikey, no. It was complete and utter embarrassing for a governing body to not only be treating that way, but to be acting that way. When you see any other sport, yeah, you see coaches talk to the referee. You see in the NBA and the NFL talk to the referee. But when the referee has to make a decision, they'll be like, yo, shut up.
Go that way.
Let me talk to the refs, and I'll make the decision, and my decision final. And you can cry whatever you want, but this is the way it's gonna go.
It's a motor race.
It's a motor race, Ruben. So
So now what happens is that you're having two team principals going back and forth on the radio, and honestly, Michael Massey said no lapped cars. Okay, that's what you want. Now all of a sudden we got a call from Christian Horner. All right, so let's unlap the cars between just them two. Everybody's happy. No, my man, that's not the way this works.
I think that he was stuck in a situation where there was just you were gonna lose whatever way. If the championship is decided on their safety car, you're toast, right? If you do what you did, you're toast. I think the best decision would have been I'm stopping the whole race.
But it would have been that probably would have been the best decision. But I'll tell you what, even if the race does finish under the safety car, at least he followed the rules, and that's what is laid out.
No, because then what's gonna happen is, oh, you guys took too long to get the car off the track. You guys took too
Yeah,
long
then
to
it comes
clean
Okay,
it up.
but that
But we follow the regulations.
yeah, but we followed the regulations because right now the issue is that he made up his own rules. Under that clause which says that he has total autonomy of the safety car, because that's what they're using.
Well, he's a race director, so
yeah, but that's what they're using, and that's the complaint. Now he's making up his own rules. Something that's
Isn't that
never
a rule-
happened
Isn't that a
before.
rule that he can make up his own rules?
Sure. Yes, that's standard in every sport.
Some motor races.
But that's the whole
So,
point. That's
let me
why he's
ask you-
getting grief.
Let me ask you a question. Both of you guys a question. Was the last lap exciting?
Yeah, sure. it
There you
was.
go. That's it.
That's what they want.
So it was made for TV.
How else would we watch it?
Well, the last lap to me was an episode of, like, you know,
So
Sorry,
you're
you said
okay.
watching
So
watching
I'm not
WWE.
okay with it.
Yeah, the last lap was like
so
watching
then,
WWE.
So then why are you making that point?
No, the last lap to me, the result that we got was watching like WWE.
Let me tell you something.
Royal Rumble winning the whole from the
Let-
beginning.
I'll tell
Out of
you what.
nowhere, somebody
I'll tell
comes
you
out, pulls my leg out.
I'll tell you what.
Right? Yes, he knows what I'm talking about.
For a casual fan, yes, it is exciting because they don't really know the rules. They don't know what's going on. But I know for a fact that all three of us, even though you're a Max supporter,
I said it up front.
we were
I was
like, yo,
stunned.
what is this?
No, not only us.
We were pissed
The whole
off.
bar. The whole
We
bar
were watching
went
at the
quiet.
bar. More than half of the bar was like, what just
What
happened?
does happen?
Yeah, a bunch of people were celebrating, and we're not taking that away from them. But I was like, not like this. Come on.
You know what's crazy? You say
regardless of who won,
Yeah, not like this.
you say,
what is going on?
and it's funny because I said that even before, and you told me that it was a full of crap answer. You asked me, who do you want to win? And I said, I just want everybody to have a good race. And look, nobody had a good race. I was just like, man, like,
Listen, you front runner.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Pirate too.
Because my man came into the bar with a Mercedes hat
Mercedes
and a
hoodie.
Mercedes hoodie, and then the minute he gets in, he takes it off. I'm a Max supporter.
Yep.
Lap what? 53 or 50, whatever.
No, lap 37. When Max came in for the pace,
lap
he goes put his hoodie
37,
back
when it
on.
looked like Lewis was gonna win the race, he's 10
puts his
seconds
hoodie back
ahead.
on, Paris.
He says, "Go Lewis! Yeah! Go Lewis! LH44, Team Hamilton, baby, let's go! Yeah!
I said hashtag
Yeah!
LH44.
Hashtag grateful! Yeah!
Blessed.
Bless.
And then?
Right? And
Then you took your hoodie right back out.
and then Max overtakes him on the last lap. Go Max! Yeah!
Me and Yancy like, what just
What the
happened?
hell is wrong with you,
No.
bro?
Yeah, and it's true. At the bar, he was jumping. Me and you were what?
Yeah,
I wasn't
exactly.
jumping. I was on my feet.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it
jumping.
was exciting.
But remember, we
So,
cannot
so
say.
you were bored on that last
But
lap?
wait.
You were
Wait.
bored on it?
Wait. I cannot 100% truthfully say how you were. I have to exaggerate to make it look better. So go back.
But you
He
were,
was jumping.
you were bored on that last lap? Were
was
you guys
jumping on-
bored?
No,
Nah,
of course
it was
not. man.
boring, of
Dude,
course.
I had like even goosebumps on that last
Of
lap.
course.
Why did you have goosebumps? You're a front runner, dude.
I'll tell you what.
Front runner.
You know who was the real race director? Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So,
was
I
a
want-
made for
I wanna point
Netflix
out.
moment.
I want to point out.
Yes.
Sitting at the bar, I took off my hoodie. I was in my Max shirt. Max wins. What happens? This beautiful tall brunette comes over, gives me a high five. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's only because I was wearing the Max.
Because
If
she's
I-
a front runner too.
If I was wearing the Mercedes, then she wouldn't have done that.
Gotcha. Okay. So that made
Yeah.
your Sunday.
That made no. It didn't make me feel Let me not get myself in trouble.
I was about to go in, bro.
Yo, you know what was cool? The guys that were sitting, like, I guess,
In front of us.
in front of us, they even sand and
We were at Stout. Fele was so. By the way, if you guys watch in New York City, go to the official meetup for Formula One, whatever. Just type it into Google. You'll come across. We watch at Fele. Fele was so packed. This is across the street from MSG. There was a line literally
Madison
down
Square
the
Garden.
whole block, Madison Square Garden, literally down the whole block. That we had to go into the sister bar, and that was packed too.
Yeah.
Like it was. Thank you, Drive to Survive, right?
Yeah. But listen. Yeah, it was exciting. You're right. But for
Michael Massi was trending on Twitter. Formula One trending.
insane.
Max Verstappen trending. Lewis Hamilton trending.
But I'll tell you what, for those that follow the sport, us three, it was a
Disaster.
bittersweet moment because obviously, yes, we wanted to see somebody challenge Lewis Hamilton. We got the season that we wanted for so long this season. It was a back and forth battle, them talking shit to each other over the
Crap.
or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, over the media, and it was very entertaining to watch the entire season. For it to end that way,
It was terrible.
it was terrible. And you know what? I don't mind the last lap shootout is good, but it just felt like somebody was put at a disadvantage for somebody else to win,
Right.
and it was.
What were you comparing that into? It's like in a show. Game of Thrones?
Sopranos.
I don't. Yeah, you know what?
Black
It was that
Sopranos,
disappointing.
man.
Yes.
It was just
Yes.
Like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, get it right. Get it right.
Look,
And
I'll be upfront. Like, yeah, I was supporting Max because I think that first championship would have been better than the 8th championship. I would have been happy whoever won. If it was a good race, that's all I wanted. A good race. I feel robbed. I feel robbed of the whole season. Just like in Game of Thrones. Like, you get the whole build-up, and then the end is just like, okay, let's wrap this up. Okay, just let's do this stuff. And it's just like, oh, okay. We were robbed.
Big
yeah.
time.
And it was, and the thing is that it's
The soap opera should not have ended that way.
all of that. It was a culmination of the entire season. Massey felt pressured. He buckled under pressure,
And what do we want now?
and he made a bad
Wait,
decision.
we'll get to that.
You know, he made a bad decision, and it just left so many people with a very bitter taste in their mouth about that championship. And even casual fans I've heard were like, what just happened?
Right.
Like, what is this? Is this sport? Is it, because it just, Hamilton dominated that race.
That race, yeah.
What would you say?
And then on top of that, it was just Hamilton dominated that race. And a lot of people were comparing this to 2008 when Lewis won his first championship, right? And if those that don't know what the situation was there, Hamilton had to finish ahead. He had to finish 5th place or higher.
Mm-hmm.
He was going up against Felipe Massa Ferrari. Felipe Massa did everything that he could. He won that race. And at that point,
Lewis was 6th.
when Massa crossed the line, he was the champion because Lewis was 6th. On the final lap, Timo Glock, it started raining. Timo Glock decided to stay on slicks instead of putting on the intermediates. He had no pace. Lewis Hamilton passed him on the final lap, got 5th place, and won the championship over Felipe Massa. Now, when something like that happens, yes, it's heartbreaking for Felipe Massa and Ferrari, right?
But for McLaren,
And if you see, everybody in the Ferrari garage is happy, go lucky, and then after that happened, it's like, what just happened? But that is something that we expect as race fans. Weather could be an issue. There could be an accident or a safety car. And that's what influenced the outcome of the race. This was different because the outcome of the race was influenced by the officials. It was a man-made disaster instead of
by giving somebody a double
disaster made by the
by
weather.
giving somebody a double technical on a flagrant foul.
So and that's what people have an issue with, is that the officials, the people who are supposed to be, keeping everything in order, were in disarray.
Yeah.
And this is what they got. And it was just unfortunate because this was supposed to be the shining moment of F1, especially, after the Liberty takeover. We finally get a championship battle in so many years. And it's between, the reigning 7-time champion, who is the greatest of his generation, versus the greatest of the new generation, and they're coming, head to head. And we saw that, the old school still has it, and the new school barely made it, but then everything just turned on a dime, and it was just, this was supposed to be that moment, and we were robbed of a special moment because instead of celebrating with Max, whoever won, but instead of celebrating with Max for the championship, we were looking at them celebrating, and they were like, should he have really won that?
Yeah. So on that note,
It was,
what do you guys? So I want to talk about the FIA and their handling of the safety car. Well, we've already talked about it, to potentially end the race, the unlapping of the few cars, and really just the FIA. We've been talking about it, but what can be done? What has to be done? What do we change? They've been the invisible hand all season.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do here? Yeah.
Bury them.
Bury them.
Jesus.
Yeah. Michael Massi has got to go, dude. He can't stay there. And then like a major overhaul of all the regulations, all the rules, a bunch of them throughout the whole year, where it probably either not properly followed, made up on the fly. It's just... It was, and to end, even to crown a champion the way it was done, not saying that Verstappen did not deserve it. No, he fought all year for that. But that last lap incident, the way it was decided, that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, and the
Massi has got to go.
Do you think Massi should be fired? Yes.
I think the problem goes deeper than Massi.
Yeah.
The problem is obviously the way the rules are written, and one example of that is in that regulation about the safety car where it says any cars that have been lapped should be unlapped. Right away, like lawyers speak.
Like what?
Like lawyers speak. They dissect the rules, and they're gonna say it says any cars, but it doesn't say all cars, which I don't think that's the spirit of the rule, right? But then what happens is that you have this lobbying between the teams.
Mm-hmm.
You have these dissecting of the rules as they're written.
To their advantage.
The problem is that it's up for interpretation, and these are rules for sport. Rules for sport should not be up for interpretation. They should be concrete. These are all the rules that we follow.
Understood. Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that's one. The way the rules are written is a problem. Second, Michael Massi has a lot of responsibility, so he should have more people around
Too many
him.
hats.
Yeah, because Charlie Whiting, the thing with Charlie Whiting was that not only was he the race director, he was a technical delegate, so he knew the rules in and out. So before he even went to the stewards, he already knew what he could go to the stewards with, and he already knew what was going to be permissible or not. Michael Massi is not that guy. And obviously not everybody should be wearing all those hats. So you got to have more people around him taking different responsibilities, and then you have this one guy that they report to. Maybe it should be Michael Massi, maybe it not. The other thing is the lobbying with the teams. Like I said, this is not up for interpretation. The rule is the rule. This is how this is going to go.
The rules are how we're following.
He needs to be able to stand up to these guys and not be this passive-aggressive guy, which we've seen him be throughout this whole season over the radio. This is what it is, and we live and die with this. Those are my solutions to this. But I don't like to call for anybody's head as far as calling for anybody's job. But
Ruben does.
Yeah, but if so many other people are saying that he has too many things going on, then that is not the fault of the guy who's in that position. That is the fault of the organization that employs him, because he's not getting enough help from the FIA. And we know that the FIA in total not only has the resources to run the F1 championship, but they have the resources to run multiple championships across motorsport. But this is the pinnacle. This is the best one. This is where all the resources should be going. And they definitely have enough money and pull to get this guy the help that he needs.
I agree with what you say right now.
Yeah.
I think he needs, they have to have, because obviously we only see him, so we don't know if he has it. Underneath him, he's not using him strategically. For example, I kind of agree with what you're saying, because in the last few actions, we see him on the track. Yeah. We don't see a guy with a hard head, that you could say, that guy's a construction guy. He knows what he's talking about, those barriers.
And I think he's done a very good job as far as what safety concerns.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he's done a really good job.
No, I'm not saying going against. I'm saying
I disagree, but
yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying him there himself. He could say, "Oh yeah, but right next to him is Wellington, the guy in charge of safety barriers, and he's been doing it." But Michael Massi's getting, he's there just to oversee, but the advisor say, "Hey, no, this got to be fixed before we go back to racing." Okay, guys, I go back to you.
Yeah.
Meaning, maybe he's too. The funnel just maybe has to be spread a little.
Yeah, I mean, and then I've also read that the way that position was created, obviously the only other guy that we know that has been in that position would probably be Charlie Whiting. And the way that position is formed, or say created, was because of Charlie Whiting. Not because of Charlie Whiting, but he was the one that basically, let's say molded that position, and he was the only one that was in charge of it. But he wore many hats. Again, he was a technical delegate, So he knew the rules in and out. He made sure of the safety. There's a lot of responsibilities. And the way, the way F1 is, it's a monster. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. Even within a team, we've seen Ferrari go through a restructuring where Mattia Binotto had too many responsibilities and they had to create a team around him to run the team efficiently, and we've seen how well that's gone for them. I think that the FIA needs that as far as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what the FIA needs, what you just said right now. They need a major restructure of everything, and then followed by clear path and all the rules and regulations.
I think that whole situation is rotten to the core, and they need to fix so many things around that. It's just right now. It's a complete mess, and it looked it on live TV on the crowning moment of one of the best seasons we've had in F1.
I agree. I think that actually we were talking about some stuff before the podcast about laying down the law, getting respect, whatever. I think that Michael Massi kind of just lets himself be run over by everyone, and that's
true
really
as well.
part of the problem. Because if you come in and you say right at the start of this, for example, at the start of the race, Max, if there's any shenanigans, know that you're gonna get all the repercussions. So that dive bomb in turn 1 of lap 1, Max is putting his own race at risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There could be a point deduction, which there was talk of leading into the race, right? So, you're changing my mind a little, Yancey, but to be honest, I think that Michael Massi, if fired for anything, he should be fired for his lack of attention to safety. I think that the virtual safety car was called way too late. There were cars. Giovinazzi was in the line of fire of the cars turning right there. If somebody had lost their brake-by-wire or their steering column, whatever, could have been disaster. Same thing with the safety car for Latifi. We saw cars flying by him. There was debris on the track, cars flying by him. The safety car was not called. I don't know if it's a delay on like the broadcast or what, but we've seen Michael Massi put cars, set cars free to race with a crane on the field. We've seen just
Baku after Max Verstappen.
Yeah, we saw, I think it was Germany last year or 2 years ago when it was wet. The cars
had to be last year. Last year was his first year on the job.
Okay.
So it wasn't Germany.
So whatever. But what I'm saying is that there are too many instances. I'll give you another one. Baku. There was a car literally stranded in the middle of the track, and there was no safety car called yet. Max Verstappen
for like another half a lap.
Yeah, he was out of the car. Like, what are we doing here? Like, over the course of this season, and there are some episodes last season, Michael Massi has shown that he is not as attentive to the safety of the drivers as he should be, and that above the show, above his own standing in whatever, that needs to be paramount. We cannot have another Jules Bianchi. He needs to go because of that, or restructure and announce this is the safety race director,
right,
or race safety director, and like that is the guy that
create
makes the
different
calls.
position around him,
Right.
that they can report to him,
Right.
but they're in charge of it, and because what happens is that if you have too many hats, you're not going to be able to put attention to these critical issues
Right.
And
throughout
then
the race week.
That is the
team
most
principal's
critical.
calling you too.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
look, I
because
don't
the
even
open
think
line of communication is good, but it's not to just moan and complain.
I don't
'Cause
even
that's
think
what,
that
that's what
the-
that sounded like.
the race safety director would even report to Michael Massi. He should have the autonomy to say safety car, virtual safety car, red flag, whatever.
3 lights.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, it's like the meme with the guy sweating in the button to press.
Be like a squid.
Like
Game.
Squid Game where the old man has to.
I still have not seen that.
But you're missing out.
Yeah,
But
for real.
I'm just saying, look, above every other thing, the most important thing is the safety of the drivers, the safety of the fans, and the safety of all the people working on the track. And I feel like right now we don't get that with Michael Massi, and that needs to change like right away before next season starts. I don't know. That's my
He
opinion.
needs to tell.
You changed my mind on that though.
He needs to also.
That it?
You're right.
He needs the iron fist too.
For real. Yeah, because you're right. I never. That's also part of it. As far as like when you have an accident on track, you got to make sure that. I think he's been very. I think he's been very proficient in making sure barriers are in place and stopping the race and making sure that everything is fixed before you go racing again.
No,
But
because even in Turkey last year, he released the cars when there was a crane on track.
But wait. because I'm not talking about that. Let me finish. What I'm saying is that once that happens, he's very good as far as making sure that the barriers are in place
Yes.
and everything like that. But he's very slow on the trigger to pull a safety car or a VSC, especially when the cars are running around. That's where I think he's lacking, and you're right on that one. But as far as like getting, all the barriers where they should be, and making sure that everything is fixed before you go racing, I think he's not a complete F up. I think
No.
he does.
It's a tough job.
It's a really tough
Very.
job. He does some good things and some very bad things. Unfortunately, in the moment that it counted the most, he messed up.
It was a tough spot. So that's our diatribe, right? On the FIA. Anything else to say? On the FIA, on the governing body of F1, let's put it that way.
Yeah, they need
Then a major overhaul.
they need a major overhaul in how.
Man, I really think that there should be the system. Like, for example, they're so fast to be like, you guys were out of the track, or you were outside of track limits. Your lap is deleted.
Yep.
They should be like the NFL refs throwing up flags like, 5-second penalty here. You push this guy off track. Like with all the telemetry that we have, they should they should be able to pull something up much faster than what they do, even if it's 5 laps later. I'm okay with that. It cannot be after races. It cannot be like that.
I think that's part of the overhaul where
what
they
happens
need to be
is
up
that
to par
it
with
feels-
technology.
It feels like
Which they are.
It feels like this is like a moving blob. Like there's never one set of set rules. They go to different tracks, and you can see that with the track limits.
You're 100% right.
Track limits on one turn. All right. If you go to a basketball game, you know where the out of bounds line is.
Mhm.
It's not right after it.
Right.
It's not.
It's not one foot could be out and
Yeah.
the other foot in.
You know what? If you are anywhere near out of bounds, it's
not
out of
college-
bounds.
It's not college rules.
It's the same thing. Not baseball.
That's the worst example.
Yeah, that's the worst.
But
example.
that's also part of the problem because remember, different
But
tracks have
basketball
different
and
stewards.
football-
No, I'm saying that's also part of
Yes.
some of the rules are decided by the
Please go on
stewards.
with that, yes.
So that's part of the problem as well. That also needs to be streamlined.
They need
as
a
well.
team, just like every league has a team of refs and a
Yes.
team of and a team of umpires in baseball. They need a team of stewards that go to every race. It doesn't have to be the same ones all the time,
Yeah.
but they can rotate them, and they can at least have some kind of like a workshop where
Yeah.
people go over the rules, and this is what
I'm
it's
sure
going to
they
be
do.
called. This is one. Yeah, but no, because every race has different stewards.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's up to the race director on who he picks
To make peace. to
but
make
it's
peace.
but it's not a dedicated team. It's like whoever can do it.
Meaning out of all, these 50 people, these 5 are going to be in this race or whatever, whatever amount of people it is.
Yeah.
But at least we already know who it is and they know.
If it's a static set of stewards, I feel like one team is going to pay off. Like I feel like that's what's going to happen.
No.
Well,
Well, it doesn't happen in baseball.
The issue is that
But they
you
rotate.
can't.
They
Yeah.
rotate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's why you have to have a. What you're saying.
But
There's 32 games or 16 games going on at a night or whatever, so it's hard to really.
You have to get the teams out of the decision-making process of how the rules are being applied.
Yes.
You can bring them in on how to construct the rules and put the rules together and do different viewpoints. But once that's done, the teams have to stay out of it. They can't lobby anything because then it's not a sport. It's a political process after that.
It's inmates running the asylum.
Yeah.
The rest of the race, there was more to this race.
Yep, there
There
was.
was?
Yeah, aside from
Really?
Max
Yes.
and Hamilton and the FIA, Carlos effing Sainz. Great job.
Wow.
Great job, Ruben. It only took
Well, that's
till
because, it's Carlos Sainz.
To you, my friend.
Great job, Ruben.
me.
Pressing
To
the drop.
you, my friend.
Carlos effing Sainz
I feel special.
on the podium
Put some respect on my name.
gets 3rd place, and with that podium position clinches. What was it? 5th in the
Fifth place.
drivers'
Best of the rest.
championship standing.
Yeah.
Hold on. Am I correct with that? I think so.
Yeah. You're right.
So,
Best of the rest.
great job during the race. Great job during the season.
Yeah, he did an awesome job this season too as well. I think,
He moved to Maranello
yes, at the before the beginning,
before the start of the
season.
start of the season.
Pretty much the season ends, he moved to Maryland. He wanted to sharpen up his Italian as much as possible. with the food.
I said Carlos Sainz 5th place, right? World driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with McLaren.
When he was McLaren,
He moved to near Woking to be near the factory. And Ferrari at first was very surprised to see him around the factory so much because no driver really does that. Carlos Sainz is one of those drivers that you can look up to as a layperson, as non-racing driver. I'm not talking about you, Wellington. I know you were
A racetrack
world class.
on PS4 and 5.
Yeah, driver. You can look at Carlos Sainz as an example that hard work pays off.
Absolutely.
He is not the most talented guy. He doesn't have that natural talent for racing like a Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton or even a Leclerc.
Or me.
They're gonna ask him, "Hey, Carlos, how do you do it? Hard work and dedication."
Yeah.
The magic words.
And you can look at a lot of guys on the grid and see that they just have a natural talent for it. And it's not only those 3 guys that I named, there's a whole bunch up and down the grid. But not only does Carlos Sainz, he does have a talent for it, but the reason why he's so good is that he works hard at it. He's gone to, I don't know, like 4 or 5 different teams on the grid and has succeeded at every single one of them because he works so hard. He studies the car, studies the team, gets to know.
He beat Leclerc. Right?
Okay.
He beat Lando.
He beat Lando too.
Yeah.
He beat Leclerc
Okay.
in his first year.
He didn't beat Max though. But anyway. but that's besides the point. All joking aside, he's one of those guys that puts the work in and gets the results out. And if you want to have a role model, I think Carlos Sainz is that guy that you can follow and see his career, his trajectory, and see how his paid off. He's very consistent in his results. He doesn't have the best weekend sometimes, but he's always scoring points. And at the end, he's what, if you guys remember the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's the tortoise. He's going to finish the race, and he's going to get a good result. And in the end, what happens in this last race, because he's been so consistent, he had a great weekend, he was able to jump. He was able to go from 7th and finish 5th.
Yeah.
Vamos!
Leclerc and Norris had a phenomenal season this season too. So kudos to Carlos Sainz.
Vamos! My man Chili, son.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, and honestly, nobody thought that he would come in and have such a good season, and on top of that, beat Leclerc, because nobody really thought he could.
Thank you,
Leclerc.
Thank you, Yancy.
Okay.
It just weren't there the rumors swirling around at the beginning of the season that he was only going to be in the seat for like X amount of time until Mick Schumacher was ready to move into that.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do? You gotta ride the hot hand, and this guy's consistently proven himself.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a battle between him and Leclerc. Obviously the team has improved a lot, and they're looking to be in contention next season, or starting next season. Him and Leclerc.
Who won that qualifying battle?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Next week we'll discuss that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sainz did win that, but I'm not sure who did. But one thing that you can see, especially in the last few races, is that they were always right behind each other when they finished the race.
We respect them.
So yeah, no, obviously, yeah. But it was either Leclerc beat Sainz or Sainz beat Leclerc, but they were right next to each other. So if they get equal machinery, they're gonna be right there with.
What I'm saying, we respect is that this is the feeling I got. If Carlos was having a better race than Charles, they would tell him, "Hey, let him pass to see if he gets ahead. If it doesn't happen, let's just switch back."
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well,
if they keep with that same momentum, it might work for their advantage.
There are two guys that treat each other with respect, and they respect their team, and they treat other drivers with respect as far as racing. So you're not gonna have a situation where it's like I feel like we're talking bad about Max, even though Max is the champion. But Max is very aggressive, and you feel that if you get into a battle with Max, you're gonna crash. You don't feel that way with Sainz or Leclerc. So.
It was 9 Carlos Sainz, 13 Charles Leclerc.
Okay. He's quick.
Give me right
over a lap.
See you later. We're leaving you alone.
Says what?
Yeah, go ahead. So, final race ends in typical.
I like the thing in the car.
Yeah, the decal on the car. We're leaving you alone, Kimmy. I
Mhm.
think I said.
It's something
Or
like that.
Kimmy, we're leaving you alone.
Yeah,
now.
the car left him alone too.
Yeah. Terrible, dude. This Alpha, just terrible. Bury it this season. Just it needs a witch doctor or something.
And he's Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, yeah. But
After the plunge.
epic career. It's over.
Yeah. I mean, how can you, a guy that has given us so many great moments without having really much of a personality? The guy was himself. He always gave you the obvious answer, and the obvious answer was hilarious.
Epic driver, world champion.
Yeah, he was
Amazing
super cool,
character.
man,
Because
yeah.
to me, he's a character. That's what, because
Yeah.
you're not expecting that. So that's why, and that's awesome for him.
And he
you
was
know.
when he
Enjoy
was
retirement.
and during his McLaren days, and even with Ferrari days, dude he was fast, man. So
He was with Lotus too, right?
yes,
Most importantly, see you later, Antonio Giovinazzi. Better days ahead.
I know you
The
are.
Bergamo bullet.
The Bergamo bullet. I was looking for the actual word, Bergamo bullet.
Also, see you later.
How many tissues did you go through?
A lot.
He lost his hair in the process. So.
I did.
Yeah.
Also,
Charlie
see you later
Jesus
is
gone.
Valtteri Bottas.
See you later.
Yeah,
He's going to Alpha.
he's going to Alpha.
Oh. Well, I mean, he's not out of F1 at least.
George is already at Mercedes, by the way.
Yeah, doing the testing.
Did you see Bottas' helmet? Christmas helmet?
That was awesome.
That was
It
great.
was all the
Christmas?
great moments
Yeah.
that he's had with.
Oh, yeah, the last time.
Whoa. I'm talking about the for the test today.
No, I haven't
Oh,
seen
no.
that.
Yeah, we're recording on a Tuesday.
So it's Tuesday.
Tuesday, December 14th.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bottas, thanks
Sayonara.
for nothing.
Wow.
Can't really say that, I guess.
Come on, really?
World Drivers Champion, or World Constructor Champion multiple times.
Yeah.
Race winner, multiple race winner, multiple pole positions. Enjoy Alfa Romeo. I just, it's a bad taste in my mouth because had he been up there, this race would have shaken out differently.
Yep.
Max can't just pit at will. But it was a weird season with regards to that. Man, that was one thing I meant to mention. In the FIA section that we talked about, they really need to look at the rules because I feel like the season started to get sour, not at the last race, but when Mercedes could keep bringing different ICEs to the race.
The loophole.
And only they need to
Fine.
close all those loopholes.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that one, not because the Mercedes took advantage of that, but just all the loopholes. Just close them. Like Fernando Alonso just doing Fernando Alonso things and really kind of exposing
Cutting the
that.
corners.
Yeah. Cutting corners, going off track and overtaking off track. Like, dude, come on. Like, let's fix these.
Grosjean used to
loopholes.
do that too.
Yep.
I think he used to do that in Russia.
And then lastly, kind of note during this race is Yuki Tsunoda 4th, Pierre Gasly 5th. And it was to a point where Yuki Tsunoda almost overtook Carlos Sainz for his first podium because of that whole lap.
He was
on
like
lap
half a
thing.
second behind him.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing with that happened. Carlos Sainz had a car in front of him. He could have fought for second place.
Ricardo.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
could have fought for second
He
place
could've
if
fought
he
for
wanted to,
second place, yeah.
and he couldn't because there was a lap car in front of him.
He was on old tires too. He could have.
He could. What I'm saying is that at the start,
He could have
things
joined the
happened.
fight.
Yeah,
Just
he
like-
could.
Oh yeah, remember Ocon 2 races ago?
Or so what happens? All right, let's say if he does give him a fight, at the start after the safety car.
Yeah.
Does Max take off just like that, or he has to worry about Sainz coming behind him?
That would have been the ultimate if Carlos
That's what
Sainz wins that race.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Yep,
things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that happen, and we don't know if it could happen because the cars weren't.
It
lapped.
was the proper
So-
procedure.
Whatever, man.
Man. All right, and look, this episode's been running long. Congratulations, Mercedes. Congratulations, Max Verstappen, on winning drivers and constructors. We'll talk about the rest of the standings next week.
We're gonna
Anything
do a
else
full
before-
season wrap up next week?
Anything else before we fully wrap up this episode? It's over, boys.
My boy Sebastian Vettel, Overtake King.
Overtake
sir.
King, crypto.com. Guys, follow us on the socials. I'll bring it up on the screen. We are across many podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. At Jump to Start F1 for Twitter and Instagram, and Jump to Start Racing Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, follow, comment, add us, don't add us, whatever you want to do. We'll see you guys in about a week's time. We will be discussing end of season awards and a season wrap up. See you later, guys.
Peace.